All right, and finally, the Mountain West Conference Championship game. It'll be on the blue turf in Boise. By the way, Boise's final ever Mountain West game. They're going to the Pac-12 this summer. We'll play there in 2026, the weird Pac-12 with Gonzaga and Texas State and about half the Mountain West and Oregon State and Washington State. Going to be a weird conference. Going to be, I think weird's a good way to put it. I don't think any of us will ever really get used to it, but we did see it coming a long time ago when it kind of felt like Oregon State and Washington State were more Mountain West schools than they were kind of power schools, and that'll be fascinating. But UNLV at Boise -4, 8 p.m. Eastern, Fox. Again, this is a Friday nighter. November was weird for Boise State. They lost Maddox Madsen, their starting QB, who was also their starting QB last year, against Fresno at home. They ended up getting blown out 30-7 on the blue turf without Madsen. They brought in a walk-on QB, Max Cutforth, who's a Boise native. He became like the third Boise native to ever start at QB for Boise State. He went 2-2 for his hometown Broncos, kept him alive in the Mountain West race. San Diego State, I thought, was the best team in the Mountain West all year. New Mexico was very good, and everyone knows Jason Eck beat UCLA. Like, there were 4 teams tied for first with a 6-2 record. It was these two, UNLV and Boise, then San Diego State and New Mexico. And by the way, it's the third year in a row that the Mountain West Conference title game is UNLV and Boise State. It was in Vegas last year. Remember Ashton Genty running wild. So I was looking into this. I was like, so how do they determine this? Because Dan Mullen, I don't know if you guys saw it, Dan Mullen was chirping. He was chirping in some random post-game like hallway a couple weeks ago. He was like, well, we're the only 10-win team in the Mountain West. We should absolutely automatically be in, because it's technically true. UNLV was the only 10-win team in the Mountain West in the regular season. They're 10-2. Boise's 8-4. But all 4 of those teams were tied at 6-2 in conference play. He was basically saying they have the best overall record they should be in. That's not how they determine it. I looked this up. This is crazy. The Mountain West championship game was determined by a composite average of various nationally recognized metrics, because all 4 teams didn't play each other head-to-head, so you couldn't go to the head-to-head. And they didn't want to do, I guess, record against conference was obviously tied, but maybe record against common opponents, etc. Like, they didn't want to do that. So they went a combination of the Connolly SP+, the ESPN SOR, strength of record, ESPN KPI, and Sport Source rankings to determine who is playing in the Mountain West Championship. What kind of a determination is that? Why could they not just go against common opponents? I don't know. But they came up with some voodoo formula out of those rankings that have us here, UNLV and Boise State. So Dan Mullen, you didn't get your wish based on your argument, but you got your wish that your team is in. It has been a good year for UNLV, jokes aside. Like, Barry Odom was fantastic for them the last couple of years, and Dan Mullen's taken off and done a good job with them. They have basically an entire team of transfer portal guys. Thought this was a funny quote from Sean Lewis, the San Diego State coach, after they beat Boise a couple weeks ago, 17-7 on November 15th. He said, quote, "We bullied the hell out of them, didn't we?" Really funny soundbite. And they kind of did. They ran for 270 yards in the win. I really wish San Diego State was in this game. I think they're the best team in the Mountain West. They have an insanely good defense. Dude, San Diego State's home games on defense, let me just for the hell of it, let me pull that up real quick. Look at their schedule. So they gave up 0 to Stony Brook, 0 to Cal, 24 to Colorado State in a weird game. They won that game by 21. 7 to Wyoming, 7 to Boise, 3 to San Jose State. So if you take out the Colorado State game, they're giving up like 3 points a game at home. Anyways, in my opinion, they got kind of screwed by the whatever the heck that is, conference metrics, like 4 different national metrics that they used to decide this. Regardless, here's your matchup, UNLV Boise State. Like I mentioned, it was a weird November for Boise State. They go 2-2. They lost their starting QB, but he's back for this game. Maddox Madsen, guys, their starting QB last year, is back for this game, so they're no longer trotting out Cutforth. That helps. I think the fact that the game's on the blue turf helped. It's one final Mountain West hurrah for Boise State. is that kind of in the mind of the players, the fan base, the program? Like institutionally, they've been such a stronghold in the Mountain West for so long. That could play a part of it. UNLV did get packed up by Boise earlier this year. They played earlier this year. 56-31 was the score of that game. I'll pull up the box score for you. Boise State beat them on the blue turf, 56-31. Madsen threw for 4 touchdown passes. They ran for 294. Colin Drea is the QB for UNLV. 2 touchdown passes in that game. He's a junior. Let me see if he's been starting for them lately. I think he has. Yep, he's been their starter. Because remember earlier in the year, Dan Mullen was trotting out Alex Orji from Michigan. It doesn't appear that Orji's been playing much at all lately. Look at their last game. Yeah, he didn't get any carries, didn't pass the ball at all, so there's not that. Colin Drea is still the QB. Remember Matthew, I think Sluka was the UNLV QB last year, started off hot and then dipped out. He's now, I believe, at James Madison. Let me confirm that. Matthew Sluka. Yeah, he's at James Madison, but he's not James Madison's starter. He hasn't been playing. I saw them in person a couple of weeks ago. He's just been getting mop-up duty. They have a different starting QB. It's crazy because he's a senior. And, man, dude, you could have been the starting QB at UNLV, man. And apparently UNLV backed out of their NIL deal, and we all don't know the exact specifics of that. But apparently UNLV backed out of their NIL deal, and Sluka left. But UNLV's doing just fine. Again, UNLV, an underdog here. They are +4. They lost by 25 at Boise earlier in the year. That's got to be in their heads a bit. I just think Boise's been choppy, man. They barely beat Utah State. And again, Madsen didn't play in their last game, but beat Utah State 25-24. Like, dude, they've just been a choppy team. Got absolutely run over by Fresno State when Madsen went down with that injury. I'm going to go UNLV in an upset here. I'm going to go UNLV 27, Boise State 24, and UNLV covers the 4-point spread. My bet would be UNLV +4 in this game. Again, it's a Friday nighter, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Man, so fired up for college football championship weekend. Some awesome games on Friday night with the G5, and then on Saturday, man, Big 12 starts us out in the morning. Big 10 ends us at 9 along with the ACC. We got the SEC championship midday. So those are your 4 Power 4 conference championship games. They all look like they could be close. I think Texas Tech might blow out BYU, but Bama, Georgia feels like a toss-up. Indiana, Ohio State feels like a toss-up. Duke, Virginia feels like a toss-up. Going to be awesome, man. I'll be back on Sunday with some recap pods. As always, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.